The C4 Corvette is chock full of weird but endearing quirks. So in this video, I'm covering the top 40 notable quirks in lightning speed. If you want to get to know America's raddest sports car, this is your stop. This is Retro Cars Forever. My name is Doug DeMuro. My name is actually Brad Hansen, and I'm here today to help you get to know the quirkiest car that I've ever owned, the 4th generation C4 Corvette. My car is a 1996 collector edition, but this video will cover all C4s, and I'll be sure to mention where quirks and features might be different in other model years. Now last year, I made another video covering the top 5 secret quirks of the C4, which was a deep dive into 5 more complicated engineering quirks. That proved to be the most popular car video on my channel. So today, I'm following it up with a lightning round of 40 simpler but still notable quirks, including some handy features that many current C4 owners might not even know about. For example, quirk number 1, opening the hatch. While you can use the key fob or this yellow button in the center console, you can also use this nearly hidden button on the side of the door. Once the hatch is open, you'll realize that it's one of the only automobiles ever made with a frameless hatch design. Check it out, the glass goes right up to the edge. Because of this, the owner's manual stresses that you need to close the hatch by the center only. Close it from the edges and you might break the glass. Another hidden but handy quirk is this cargo cover. All C4 coupes have this integrated into the backside of the luggage area. Who says General Motors didn't know how to build cars in the 80s and 90s? This is brilliant. Actually, this next quirk does make me annoyed at GM engineers. So you can also access the cargo area by pushing forward these little tabs in the back of each seat, which is nice. The problem is when the passenger seat is empty, the seat will flop forward under braking like a drunk college student. And when you're pushing the car hard on a mountain road like this, that floppy seat is just as distracting. In the floor of the cargo area, you'll notice a little hatch. Open it up and there's extra storage for whatever. Spared no expense. Now on C4s made in the first 2 model years, there were 2 storage bins in the back. But that changed in 1986 when the C4 became one of the first cars on the market with an anti-lock braking system, or ABS for short. The ABS module ended up taking the space of the storage bin that was behind the driver, and they kept the vestigial hatch so that you could easily access the module for service. Now that ABS module behind the driver is the source of an alarming sound that's actually just another C4 quirk. You see, after each startup, the module performs a self-test that goes on for just a second, triggered once the car reaches a few miles per hour. It sounds like this. Totally normal, it just means your ABS is working. Enjoy your drive. Another advanced quirk that also started in 1986 was this resistor pellet in the ignition key. This acts like a primitive anti-theft computer chip to prevent hot wiring. Commonplace nowadays, but this was one of the very first cars on the market to have this feature. Speaking of keys, this fob is the source of another quirk that's way ahead of its time. Starting in 1993, all Corvettes came with Passive Keyless Entry System, or PKE for short. This system can sense when the fob is nearby, and without you even pressing a button, will automatically unlock the car when you get near it, and locking the car with a toot of the horn when you walk away. Now, the PKE system can annoy owners when they're moving around the car while cleaning it or working on it with the system constantly locking and unlocking and sounding the horn. But Chevy thought of that and made the PKE system easy to arm or disarm. Either way, all you have to do is sit inside with the keys out, hold down the door button for a few seconds, and wait for the system to cycle the locks. Easy. Another key quirk is this little button on the ignition itself. It's got to be pressed in to remove the key, and they even put a nice little pad here in case you hit the dash with your knuckles in the process. Now let's take a look at the other quirks of the cabin. The first thing you'll notice is how high the sills are, but I already covered that in another video, which you can see right here. Right now, I'd just like to point out how ridiculously narrow the footwells are, especially for the passenger. These floor mats sure have some funky shapes. Once you're in, you'll notice there are a surprising number of nakedly exposed screw heads for a car that's stickered for $40,000 and up back in the day. Overall, I actually think this interior is a nice place to spend time in, but this was an unfortunate detail that Chevy overlooked. Now let's talk horns. The steering wheels made before 1990 had the horn button dead center right where you'd expect. But hit that center section on a later C4 and all you'll be doing is poking the airbag inside like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Instead, you gotta hit either of the horn buttons that are on the sides. A good quirk to know before the crap hits the fan. Speaking of airbags, Corvettes made from 1994 onwards had a passenger side airbag stored behind this panel here. Now if that panel kinda looks like a glove box, that's no accident, because this space was a glove box in earlier models, before it was occupied with an airbag. But Chevy must have felt guilty for taking away that precious space for your stuff, because they created new secret storage compartments in the door panels. So if you have a 1994 to 1996 Corvette, look inside, you might find some hidden treasure. Arr, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. But what about a place to put your beverage? Hooray, C4s have 2 cup holders hidden under this lid next to the gear shift. But boo, if you have a manual, you won't be able to shift into top gear or reverse without spilling your nutritious drink all over the carpeting. Right above the shifter is another quirk, this CRO2 button. What the heck does that stand for? Well, CRO2 stands for chromium dioxide, which is the makeup of upgraded cassette tapes that are also known as high bias chrome tapes or Type 2 cassette tapes. These high fidelity cassette tapes aren't super common, but if you're playing one, press this button to rock out with the extra bandwidth that these special cassettes provide. Chevy even thought of a handy place to store your cassette tapes, because there's one more storage area here in the center console, and you can see they thoughtfully included these little partitions for your favorite tapes. How rad is that? You'll notice there's another skinny space in the side of the center console, and that's a nicely sculpted cubby for the owner's manual. Now inside the owner's manual, you'll find 2 nice little extras, a Corvette branded pen and a Corvette branded pen light. If you still have both in working condition decades later, well, aren't you lucky? One more quirky thing you'll find in the center console is this little wrench, which has this little home that it snaps into. This wrench is to remove the Targa top. You see, every single C4 Corvette coupe has a removable top section, but because the top is a structural element, you have to loosen 4 bolts, 1 on each corner to remove it, and that's where this little wrench comes in handy. Once the top is removed, you can stow it in the luggage area. The edges slide into these 2 rubber bits, and the top latches into place in the back. One last top quirk on C4 coupes is the fact that most of them came with not 1, but 2 different tops. There's the body-colored fiberglass top with black headliner, or my personal preference, the see-through but more fragile acrylic top. These Targa tops are worth about $1,000 each, so if you're interested in buying a C4, make sure to ask the seller if they happen to have both of them. Now let's talk about the quirky power seat adjustments of the C4. Now if you have these upmarket sports seats, you get a ton of seat adjustments, including 3 different lumbar supports. My personal favorite adjustment is the side bolsters, which can be brought in to hug you for the turns, or made wide for those times where you just ate a full meal at Taco Bell. Now what's really slick is all those power seat adjustments can also be made available for the passenger. All you have to do is flip this switch, and the passenger can adjust their seat just like the driver can. Now, despite all those power adjustments, the actual rake of the seat backs is still manual, adjusted with this little lever at the front bottom corner of each seat. So what if something breaks on these seats and you need to get underneath to fix it? Thankfully, Chevrolet thought of that because the bottom seat cushion is ridiculously easy to remove. Just release a single clip at the front of the seat and the whole cushion comes right out, simple as that. In the center of the dash, some people might look at this little screen and think it's some sort of antiquated infotainment system. It's actually just a space to display warning lights, as well as alerting you if you've turned off your ASR traction control system, which you can turn on or off with this button to the left of the steering wheel here. Now when you start the car, you'll see how quirky the gauges are in these cars. Early C4s had a completely digital dash, while 1990 and later C4s like mine got this rad mix of digital and analog. But notice how the gauges on the right swing down when the values are going up. Takes some getting used to. One other quirk is the gas gauge, which is this LCD bar graph in the center. When you get low on gas, it'll say reserve, which makes you feel like you're piloting a jet fighter on just reserve tanks. Yeah. Now the information in this center section can be customized using these buttons to the right. This functions like a trip computer, or you can even display digital information that's the same as the analog info. A great way to double check your numbers in case your gauge needles on the right are having an issue. The windshield wipers don't work in the typical left to right sweeping motion, instead they move like this. By now, astute viewers might have wondered where the emergency brake is, as it's not in the typical central position. Instead, it's located to the left of the driver's seat, way way down here. Here's how it works. To engage the parking brake, you'll pull up on the handle, but notice that when you let go, it goes limp, which allows you to get in and out without having to vault over it. This light on the dash will illuminate to tell you it's engaged. To disengage, you'll lift the lever, then you'll press this button on the top as you lift the lever back down again. No light, so you're good to go. Now, if you have the 6-speed manual transmission like mine that was offered starting in 1989, you might notice another potentially alarming sound. These ZF 6-speeds have a dual mass flywheel and some other quirky engineering bits, so while idling, you might notice this light whirring noise. And that noise will go away when you push in the clutch. Now that whirring sound is not the clutch or a throwout bearing going away, that's a totally normal sound. Well, normal for a C4 anyways. But that's not the only ZF 6-speed quirk, as it also has the dreaded 1-to-4 skip shift feature, also known as CAGS, for computer-aided gear selection. This was installed by GM to game the EPA's fuel economy test so they'd narrowly avoid the gas guzzler tax. Here's how CAGS works. If your car is warmed up and you're accelerating from first gear at a gentle pace, the computer will lock out second gear, guiding the lever down into fourth instead. This little dash light will illuminate whenever it's active. If you're driving quickly, this lockout won't happen and you'll go straight from first to second. But this is really annoying if you're not used to it, so many owners resort to plug-and-play eliminator kits, but even those won't stop this light from illuminating. Personally, when I first got my car, I found CAGS very frustrating. It felt like I was constantly battling the gear lever. But eventually, I gained a sixth sense to when CAGS would activate, so I've learned to live with this quirk. And hey, I live in Los Angeles, so I'll take any fuel-saving measure I can get because the gas prices here look like this right now. Now let's talk about a few quirks that you'll notice when things go wrong with your C4, starting with the location of the tire changing equipment, which on my car is in 2 different spots. The jack is in the luggage area, hidden underneath that storage bin that we talked about earlier, and the lug nut wrench for my car can be found behind the driver's seat. The massive clamshell hood is one of my favorite C4 quirks. The entire front end, including the headlights, lifts up in one piece, giving you amazing access to the engine and front suspension. And when the hood's closed, the cut line is hidden in the perimeter here, giving the tops of the fenders a uniquely clean appearance that I love. The hood prop itself is kind of quirky. To put the hood down, you squeeze this middle section here with your hand, and that allows the 2 sections to collapse for the hood to go down. Neat feature, but if you're working on your own engine, be careful not to accidentally bonk this section, or else you'll have 70 pounds of hood dropping on your head. Okay, our last quirk is one that's always bugged me that I just want to get off my chest because I think the exterior styling is almost perfect. So what isn't perfect? These cheap black door handles. You see, no matter what color your C4 is, it's gonna come with black colored handles. Chevy probably saved a few bucks on each Corvette by having all the handles be the same color, but the dead center of the car is such a terribly obvious place to cut costs. That said, if the only exterior detail you can pick on is the door handles, it is still a dang beautiful car, quirks and all. So there you go, the top 40 C4 quirks. But now, let's hear it from you. Any quirks that I might have missed, especially if I didn't cover it in this other 5 secret quirks video? What's your favorite or least favorite Corvette quirk, even if it's on another generation? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, you know the drill. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.